This is the GoPro Hero 6. I've seen other people have complaints about it, and I'm always skeptical of other people's complaints. Maybe they don't know how to use it, or they have a gremlin or something like that. It's not anything that's easily replicable or anything of that nature. But in this case, I ran into some issues. I ran into issues that other people didn't even see, or don't have, I should say. The first thing I ran into was something that was strictly on the computer itself. I had a dead pixel approximately here. It was there for about 30 to 45 minutes, and I finally finished what I was doing. I put it up. I checked the footage. It wasn't on the footage. It was just on the back of the back of the camera. Didn't show up. The next day I turned it on to try something else, and it was gone. Maybe I'm lucky. I don't know what that was about. I didn't really care for it though, because I don't know if it's gonna come back or what have you, and it's at best that was an annoyance that thankfully went away for now. I don't know if it's gonna be back. So that was the first thing I ran into. The second thing I ran into was power. Now, when this thing stays on for a little bit, it starts to get warm really quick. If you start shooting 4K video, it gets warm. Now, right now, as you can see, it's on because I just shot something to try to warm it up, and it is warm to the touch. It's not boiling hot or anything like that, but it does get pretty hot once you record. I recorded things for about 15 to 20 minutes, and it gets hot to the touch. Not so much you can't touch it, but I find it easier to just put it in a mount and then hold it with one of these, so that way you're not holding it, because it is hot to the touch. When it gets hot to the touch is the next thing. I think this is more of probably a firmware issue. It gets hot and it does not turn off. I hold the button down, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, and it just stays on. It stays on. You try to press the button again. It'll either stay on or it'll turn off, wait for about a second, and then go right back on, and it'll just sit there and loop on that. So much so, like in this case, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna pop the battery. And that's the only way you can turn it off when you get stuck in that situation. That, like I said, I think that's a firmware update. There has not been one as of right now. Today is the 27th of October. There has not been one yet. I've checked. I haven't checked. This is in the morning. It may have come out in the afternoon. Terrific. If that does it, if that's what they need to do and to fix it, terrific. And this video is dated. I don't mind, because this can be a really good camera. I don't know. The 5 didn't have that problem. I never had that issue. I have 2 GoPro 5s that I've used. I've shot probably about 10 to 15 videos for YouTube, and I've never had these types of issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and try. I put the battery back in. I'm trying to turn it on. There it goes. So now it's on. Seems to be ready to go. Let's go ahead and try to turn it off real quick. Once you reseat it, it does give you a little bit of a, yeah, there it goes, it's off. It does give you a little bit of leeway, but once you start recording again and it warms up, I've noticed that's what happens. That's a software, that's a firmware issue most likely, and it can just be fixed by a download, but GoPro hasn't offered that yet. Which leads me to another software point. The software, GoPro Studio, I know they're transitioning, they're changing names, or changing the branding and all that stuff, but GoPro Studio, I have not gotten it to work. This is on a Mac. I have not gotten it to work on the footage. I can import the video. When I say open to Studio, it pulls up Studio and it just sits there. I let it sit there at one point for 20 minutes to see if it would just magically appear, and it never did. I like GoPro Studio because it's really nice to be able to do flux and do the slow-mo. They make doing slow-mo just easy, which this does 240 at 1080, which is really nice and clear and great to have that type of quality. But hey, it doesn't work, at least as of right now. Maybe there's a software update that I haven't seen. I've looked and I've looked and I've looked. I've looked on the forums, the GoPro forums, and all I see is people complaining, having similar complaints and even different things that I'm having. That's annoying, to say the least. This, you can take pictures with it. For me, I just do it. I do video with it. So when I do video with it, I've noticed I've shot 4K at 60 and I've shot a little bit of 4K at 30. When you're outside in the sun, looks great because it's the sun. The sun is very bright and it's going to light up things that in the way the sun does. If you're indoors like this, let's go ahead and just do this. So now we're recording here. So now we're recording here. So this is my the big camera with a mic on it. It's the other big camera doing the close-ups here. And I'm indoors, as you can see. I'm not terribly fond of the quality of indoor footage. It does look a little bit noisy as far as the graininess on the inside, even though it's not dark in here at all. I have two lights on in the house with LED lights that are pretty bright that work really well with this camera, but in this case it's trying a bit hard to try to make it look okay. Now the other thing is the audio sucks. It's an underwater camera, so you have to compromise the audio for this or that. Now I've recorded almost a minute. It's getting a little bit warm in my hand. I'm going to switch back to the big camera. It's not off, but it's stopped recording, as you can see. It is warm to the touch. Let's go ahead and try to turn it off again. As you saw, it did turn off earlier. There, that's it right there. I caught it. It's warm. I try to turn it off. It looks like it turns off. It sits for a beat and then it goes right back on. That's incredibly annoying. So now I did this 2 or 3 times and I'm gonna have to pull the battery to turn it off. So the video quality isn't that great. I think that's a firmware problem. The software for your computer is a problem. This is it's when it works, it's really great. I have gotten it to work somewhat consistently, but when it does start firing up with problems, then it's hard to get around them. I really want this camera to work great, and I may have to just sit on it for a little bit until until GoPro gives me fixes for the things that I'm having issues with. I'm gonna keep visiting the forums. Like I said, hopefully this video will be completely outdated and my complaints will be moot. But as of right now, those are my complaints with the GoPro Hero 6. I've had it for 3 weeks, and those are the issues that I've had. The 5 had a couple of small issues as far as importing things of that nature, but hopefully. And those were cleared up really quickly, but it's been 3 weeks. I don't know. We'll see. GoPro is kind of on the rocks financially and all that with their stock or whatever. That's none of my concern for this. But if you start doing more stuff like this, I mean, everybody's making action cameras now, so that's probably why I don't know. This one, maybe this is a bad camera. I don't know. So that's GoPro Hero 6 complaints. I hopefully will have a video. If they fix it all, I'll make another video that says, hey, everything's fixed. But as of right now, no go.